Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this conversation with a great group of people from NPR's From the Top. I'm Libby Curtis, and I'm the Executive Director of the Mason Community Arts Academy here at George Mason University. We are the Community Arts Education Division of the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and I'm so pleased to be here today for this event, which is hosted by the Mason Arts at Home initiative, coming to you from the Center for the Arts at Mason. In February, NPR's very popular From the Top was on campus to record a live version of their radio broadcast from our very own Center for the Arts. They also participated in a visit to an area public school, along with a luncheon and discussion with students and families from our academy here at Mason. Today, we are joined by a wonderful group of people to celebrate the release of this episode. So let me start with the introductions, and I'm going to start with bringing on Megan Swan. Megan, can you tell us about your role at From the Top and give us a little bit of background about you and what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Libby, and thank you for having us here today. As Libby said, my name is Megan Swan. I am the music director with From the Top. I have been with the organization for coming up on a year this summer. It's felt like longer, but in the best possible way. It's been a great adventure. And as you'll see, a big part of it is meeting absolutely exceptional young musicians who inspire me in different ways every single time I meet them. So it's been an absolute joy. My background is I am a musician as well, a trumpet player, and I've done a lot of work with orchestras, with artistic programming and education as well, the LA Phil, the San Diego Symphony, the Sacramento Philharmonic and Opera, as well as I have a background in pop and jazz. I taught a jazz program in Los Angeles for a very long time, played trumpet on Kanye West's tours. My resume is very strange, but it matches up to the work we do at From the Top because it's all music. My day-to-day with From the Top surprisingly hasn't changed too much in the strange times that we're in. A big part of it is recruitment. So we are looking at finding these exceptional young people all over the country and connecting with them personally, connecting with their teachers, with music programs, and finding ways to connect folks in this larger network to, yes, being incredible musicians, but also, really having a propensity for arts leadership and wanting to make a difference in their communities. So we're really going out there looking to connect with people who share that point of view with us. The other part of my job is the production of the radio show and kind of making the sausage, as they would say. So that includes picking the young musicians who will perform on a show, programming the music. This all sounds very simple. There's nothing simple about it.
I can imagine.
And then actually being in recording sessions. Now, you would think right now, because most of it is exactly how we did our event with you at GMU, where we have a live event and it's all in person and we're really working together and then presenting to a live audience. We can't do that right now, but we have been moving ahead with something we've dubbed the Blanket Fort Show. And we have been sending around a recording studio in a box to young musicians. And then we're able to have virtual recording sessions live that we're working through. So our first Blanket Fort show goes to podcast on Monday. So if people would subscribe to From the Top on your favorite podcast platform, you'll see that first Blanket show there. But going back to the live event and kind of the day of, one of the absolute joys of my job is working with our co-hosts and absolute creative forces, and collaborating with them and the young musicians in the dress rehearsal, which often in the music rehearsals, there's so much just beauty and music making that really kind of pulls down to the humanity that we're trying to get across. And one of the most fun experiences I've had this season was truly with two people that I will be introducing now. The dynamic duo of Greg Anderson and Elizabeth Joy Roe. The energy that these two bring, just because they're fun and I think fun-loving people, is incredible. But musically, they go to the root of it. What is speaking? What is moving people? What is the root of this? What's the music? We're not talking about, what it's supposed to be, but really, what is it? And we had a great time. It was incredible for me to work with them and see how much they really opened up all of these young musicians. So without further ado, you may have seen them a couple nights ago on the finale of Will and Grace, where I can probably tell you a little bit about that. But yes, Greg Anderson and Elizabeth Joy Roe.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Megan. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Facebook Land.
We're the Anderson and Roe piano duo, and we really, really are touched by your introduction. It's Liz and my mission to make classical music a relevant and powerful force in society. And working with From the Top, it's so evident that our missions just completely connect so fully. And we had such a transformative experience as well, working with you, Megan, but also with all of these incredibly talented young artists. I really felt like I got to know them in a way that I just blew my mind away. I didn't expect it. And it was such a profound experience for me.
Yeah, and I have to say that this was one of the final events professionally that we had before things started getting canceled and postponed and quarantine started being enforced. And I'm thankful that we were able to have this experience in person. There's so much that happens, from the school visits to the live tapings that just still resonate in my memory and my heart with so much inspiration. And so I'm holding on to those memories now.
Well, without further ado, why don't we bring the young musicians on? So we'll start introducing them. I'm going to just kind of go through their names and then we'll introduce them one at a time. We have Lyra, Levi, Olivia, and Ella with us. And we're going to start with Xavion. Xavion, we're going to ask each, we're going to wait for, there we go. We got everybody up there. Wonderful. We're going to ask you each to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are currently, what year you are in school or age, what your instrument is, whatever you would like to share with us. So Xavion, you want to start off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Xavion Patterson. I'm a 17-year-old bassoonist from Smyrna, Tennessee. I am a junior in high school, and so next year I'll be a senior. And I had an amazing time at From the Top.
Wonderful. Let's go next to Ella.
Hi, my name is Ella. I am 12 years old, and I live here in Fairfax, Virginia. And I am currently in 6th grade, and I play the piano.
Piano. Great. Olivia, I see you down there.
Hi, my name is Olivia Cosillo. I'm currently in New York City, but I'm from San Francisco, California. I was originally on the show in 2013 when I was in high school, and I was lucky enough to return as an alumni performer for this show with these other talented musicians.
Wonderful. And Levi?
Hi, my name is Levi. I'm a cellist from Tucson, Arizona. I go to University of Arizona. I'm currently a sophomore. I had a great experience at From the Top.
And everybody agrees he's got the greatest radio voice ever and should be hosting. So, and then finally, Lyra. Lyra, we want to give everybody a little taste of what to expect from the live broadcast. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, but also kind of introduce the video clip that we're going to hear?
Yes, my name is Lyra Masuda, and I am 10 years old, and I live in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm a fifth grader. And the clip that you're about to be watching is me and Anderson playing Polonais Winiarski.
Wonderful. Unfortunately, I don't think we got the sound from that. Megan, do we want to try that again, or should we just go on and let them know that they have a wonderful adventure ahead of them if they join for the broadcast? Okay, great. Well, let's do go on, and just know that it's a beautiful performance, and we look forward to hearing it. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a bit. Right now, I want to bring back Megan and Liz and Greg. And I'm going to let everybody kind of transfer out here. Here we go. It's going to take just a little bit to get everybody joined. There we go. I'm starting to see everybody. Can you tell me a little bit more about your experience at Mason? I know that part of it was a visit to an elementary school, a public school in the area. It was also a conversation and discussion with our own Mason Community Arts of families and students. But then it was also everything that went on with all of the performance. So can you talk, just give us an idea of what your experience was like?
My experience, as I kind of alluded to earlier, was extremely touching, but it was also an enormous amount of work. Everybody gave it like 150%. We had lots of rehearsals to put together all the music very quickly with each other. But the From the Top organizers, including Megan, really helped us to become like a tight-knit family really quickly. So there were a number of exercises that we performed with each other to get to know each other extremely well. We very probing interviews. And then when we had formed this bond, we went out to the middle school in the area, one of the middle schools in the area, and worked with 300 different middle schoolers, some on one-on-one, and in other cases, performances for the entire school. And it was just mind-blowing to see how energized these middle schoolers were by seeing the talented peers that were these From the Top musicians.
And we were really impressed by the young artists here, because this may have been a new experience for a lot of them, presenting for an entire school of people their age, and that can be somewhat daunting. And they all rose to the occasion so beautifully, were so compelling and charismatic and open-minded, and then they carried that energy to the actual taping, and it was such a beautiful experience to rehearse on these pieces with them, and then to see how the pieces just blossomed and how each of the artists were supporting each other and backstage and cheering each other on. And it was such a beautiful and hopeful signal of the future of classical music.
Yeah. And when we put these together, we know that we're going to be putting the young musicians in uncomfortable situations for what they perceive a From the Top experience is going to be like. Perception can be, this is very serious. I'm going to play a piece that I know very well. I've worked very, very hard on, and I'm going to perform it in front of a live audience. It's going to be recorded, and it's going to be on the radio. It's pretty cut and dry. And then we get in touch with them and we say, yeah, you're going to do that. Don't worry about that part. Now, bring some other music, and it could be from any genre, and we're not going to tell you what you're going to do with it yet, but just make sure you have that in your back pocket too. And it truly is getting together. And as Greg and Elizabeth said, there was a lot of preparation for it that we put in their hands. And we give the construct of, we're going to Edgar Allan Poe Middle School. You're going to see a lot of middle schoolers. Every time you say middle school, like the eyes bug out a little bit more, like, ah!
You're very brave, yes.
And then really ask them, yes, you're going to play this music, but why should these kids care? And I mean, in nicer terms than that, but what is it that drives you to love this music? What is it that you find interesting? And then how do you tell that to a group of students very quickly, but so you create a connection? And this group took it, ran with it. Really, I mean, I think the mind-blowing things that happened on this particular cohort, and, you know, George Mason University, the environment that you have there contributed to that. There's such creativity, and there's a support team that was working with us just to get the production going, but that absolutely translates to all the work that we got to do together. So I feel like it really just was this perpetuating musical, creative, and community-oriented weekend that the kids grabbed onto right away. So anyways, all to say, they came up with everything they were going to do. They created this program, and it went over with flying colors. I could not believe it, actually.
That's wonderful. Thank you for saying that about George Mason, because I think this is an example, you know, creating this platform to stay connected. We are really excited and proud to be part of a very thriving arts community here. So Greg, sorry to interrupt you, but please go ahead.
No, I was just going to offer kind of the visual after one of the full school performances. I saw a number of young guys come up to a couple of the musicians and give them high fives. And there were a whole swarms of people who would go up to different instrumentalists and ask them questions. And they had no need to it. I mean, they could have gone off to the playground, and instead they were intrigued and wanted to explore more, wanted to learn more, and wanted to meet these musicians. And I didn't see that coming for the life of me. I was so impressed with the whole experience.
Well, and also as co-hosts, we are tasked in a way with this inherent responsibility to mentor the young musicians. And so we just wanted to remind them of the things that really matter in music, because these are all, I would say, overachieving young students. They're probably getting straight A's, and they'll go to Ivy League schools. And, you know, they're so used to just focusing on practicing all day and getting the technique perfect. And we just want to remind them that the things that really translate to audiences, regardless of their sort of previous experience with classical music, is the crux of humanity of the music. So getting them to that essential thing. And so it was really beautiful saying the young artists kind of strip away maybe some of their more academic approaches and get to the heart of the music.
And that was so obvious with this group of kids, because I shouldn't call them kids, but they are, I guess, that, you know, that was what was so impressive to me. They're so well spoken and just poised, and they're able to communicate their passions so beautifully. Can we bring some of them on? Why don't we talk with some of the young musicians? And Greg and Liz, if you want to kind of lead that along.
Sure. And just as a quick reminder, that video that played earlier with Lyra and Greg, you can go to From the Top's Facebook page to watch the performance in full.
And I believe it'll also be available on George Mason's page, as well as From the Top's page. You can find it on Instagram, and you can listen to the full performance on the broadcast of this week's From the Top.
Right.
So who should we talk to?
So maybe
first?
we should bring Lyra on, since we're talking about Lyra.
Yeah, that's a great idea. She is the youngest of the group. She's 10 years old, and she's a spunky gal, and I loved playing with her. I am very curious, Lyra, how you felt when you went to the middle school, because I don't think you're even in middle school yet.
I'm not.
Yeah. Did it feel out of place? Were you nervous to see all these bigger students?
I wasn't really nervous, but like it was a real like new experience for me. Like I wasn't really nervous though.
Well, I remember I was part of, we broke out
Oh
into
yeah.
separate groups. And so I watched Lyra hold court over these girls, middle school aged girls who are, very shy and
Oh,
very quiet. And Lyra was all bold and and confident. And I hoped that those students were impressed, but also inspired by your energy and your confidence, which I think is remarkable for someone your age.
thank you.
Greg, I think you're muted.
Lyra, sorry about that. Do you remember any of your interactions with these students? Did they
yeah.
teach you anything?
I don't think so. I don't remember like actually learning from them.
What did you teach them?
I mean,
Good question.
we were kind of like split into groups, and then we could like talk with each other, like weird questions, and then we were like talking about one of the questions were, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think that was the question. And like most of them said like actresses, all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, a musician. And then they were like, I think I taught them like actually to focus on one thing. Like I think one of them said they wanted to be like a YouTuber or something. I wanted them to focus them on like things that they really like. So like, yeah.
Wow.
That's good advice.
I remember you had a lot of things you didn't like during our interview with you on the show. Has your worldview changed at all during isolation? Have you found new hobbies, or are you still focusing on those very specific ones like math?
Yeah.
Just give us two things that you love and two things that you really don't like for our general audience.
Okay. I hate bugs. I hate fantasy books. I like fic fiction books like I have right here. And
what book was that?
it was Fever, one that got a Newbery honor.
Oh.
Okay.
It is realistic fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Wait, what was your second thing that you love? Oh, I guess you said math earlier. But Greg and I love Harry Potter, so we're just going to try to pretend that you didn't say that you don't like fantasy. But anyway.
This is great. Why don't we bring on a couple more musicians so that we can hear from them? Who would you like next?
Good. Thank you. Let's bring out Xavion.
Oh, sure.
Hi.
Hi, Xavion. Xavion and I had the pleasure of working together. And actually, you and I were each other's interviewees at the very beginning of this whole process. And I was just so moved by how generous of spirit you are. And you just have this enthusiasm and warmth that is just infectious. So welcome to this show. What were some of the most indelible sort of takeaways from your From the Top experience? Like, what are things that you'll remember forever?
Yeah, it's funny because I actually, after being on the show, I went home immediately and I was like, oh my God, that was insane. Like, I didn't know that it was, there's a connection built between people because, as a performer, for me, I like to feel energy from other people, but usually I don't get to connect as much, I guess, with the audience that I'm like performing for. And so when we did like the outreach concert, I felt really connected to the middle schoolers, and they would come up to me and like be like, "Oh my gosh, you played in the concert." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And so for me, I guess the biggest takeaway was just really knowing that people care about the instrument that I play, and the fact that I actually, I play music and I'm a classical musician, and that gives me hope for the future because, some people say classical music is dying, but from what I've seen, no way.
That's right. And your instrument, just to clarify, is the bassoon, and you did such a beautiful demonstration for the students. And then as a performer, you bring so much thoughtfulness and maturity to your performances. What are your hopes? Because I know that, it's sort of an odd time to be a musician, but what's your dream?
That's a big question. I've actually known for a while now. I want to be a musician, a performer. Maybe one day I would like to teach, but overall, my grand scheme of my career, I really want to be the principal player of a professional orchestra one day if, I can get there, hopefully. I really want to have a solo career too, so I definitely want to like travel the world and give recitals and just really open up all of, I guess, the opportunities for bassoonists out there because it's not a well-known instrument. And so for me to be able to represent it to people would be awesome.
I want to ask you, on the show, you talked about how social media and a particular app featuring orchestral music really changed your musical life. And we asked you, this was a couple months ago now, if you might consider creating some social media presence of your own. Have you given that any thought over the past couple months, especially now that you're in isolation and social media is
Yes, I have. I actually, so a trend that's kind of been going around on Instagram for sure, and even on Facebook a little bit, people have started kind of doing duets with their friends and like collaborating kind of on projects. And so I kind of started my own secret bassoon account where I was kind of practicing and I let like 20 of my friends follow. And I was like, this is just so I can get comfortable. And so, yeah, and I did a duet with my friend who plays oboe on Facebook, and that was just, it's really fun and it's really nice, especially after From the Top and seeing you guys. I was like, I should do this.
All about those duos.
I love the duos. I think you really have the potential to change other people's lives through your music and through social media. So I strongly encourage you to keep that up.
Thank you.
Megan, can you jump in here just a little bit and tell us about a wonderful organization that supports From the Top and particularly this young musician here?
Absolutely. So Xavion, you were the winner of the Jack Kent Cooke Young Artist Award that From the Top gives out. And we have such a beautiful partnership with the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, and they are absolutely inspired by musicians like Xavion to go out and do just what we're talking about, change the world. And we believed in you, and they absolutely do as well. So tell us, Xavion, what are you going to be doing with your award, and how is that going?
So the award is going towards a professional bassoon because now I've hit the age to where I'm eventually going to be going into college, and so I will be pursuing music. But with the instrument that I have now, it is a nice instrument. It's a very beautiful instrument. I'm so grateful for it, but it just won't take me all the way there. And so I'm using this money to actually purchase a professional horn so that I can go all the way through college and start my career with it. So yeah, I'm so very, very grateful for the scholarship, and I can't wait for it to change my life.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and bring on Olivia too, because I think she also has had experience with this particular organization. So Olivia, can we get you connected here?
Hello.
Hi, Olivia.
Hello, Olivia.
And Greg is also an alum of the Jack Kent Cooke program.
All three of us are Jack Kent Cooke alums.
Wonderful. We got all three of you at the bottom there. Yay.
Olivia, how has Jack Kent Cooke affected your life?
Oh my gosh.
The foundation.
Immensely. I received the Jack Kent Cooke Award the same age that Xavion is now, when I was just emerging out of high school and into college. And it really made it possible for me to take the audition trips in the first place, to visit the conservatories I was interested in. And then so when I actually landed on, I went to Oberlin Conservatory, I felt like I really had a full audition season where I really could get a sense of the campus. I felt really confident in my choice. And then, just the ability to train at a conservatory like that, and now I'm at Juilliard, has just been life-changing and immensely joyful. And I'm so grateful.
What about your From the Top experience? Because you've had a couple of them now, so you have a bit more perspective on it. What was the most indelible aspect of this last time that we all got together, and then just your whole experience? What's some of your favorite memories?
Yeah, some of my favorite memories from the Top are actually the outreach that we do. The first time I did it, I was 17, and I was a lot more green than I am now. And it completely opened my eyes to the fact I wanted to work with kids, and I wanted to eventually have a career in teaching or integrating that with my musical life. And I think the thing that was so wild and just shocking coming back to the show was just reflecting on how much has happened in my life between the first time I saw the on the air sign and just a month ago. And it was just so touching to see familiar faces and brand new faces. And listening back to the episode recently was just emotional because it was the last event I did before quarantine and before this period of isolation. So I'm really grateful that that was kind of the last memory I have to hang on to right now in this period of pause.
Yeah, just so the audience knows, you are an incredible teacher. We just were in awe watching you at the middle school. First, I saw you work with the chorus, and you did such a great job leading that session. And then when you got in front of the entire school, you just commanded the audience with you engaged them so beautifully.
Can you share with our audience here some of the things you talked about with the middle school audience? Because I believe you asked a question that got a lot of chatter.
Okay, yeah, it was so funny. So I sing Voi che sapete from Le Nozze di Figaro for them. So in short, that's an aria where a young boy, sung by a mezzo, is, professing his love to this woman that's way out of his league. And so I was thinking, I was like, what would be relatable to a bunch of sixth graders? So I started by just saying, okay, close your eyes. It's going to be a really embarrassing question, but who has a crush on someone right now? And the uproar that ensued was incredible. They were so embarrassed, but also I kind of hooked them because I don't think that they expected me to ask that question. And I think that that was a really amazing and fun gateway, not only for them, but for me. I think that my performance of that changed a lot, just having that in mind and channeling that inner child. It was so funny. Yeah.
That's great. That's a great story. Let's bring in Ella. Can we bring in Ella now to join us? Make sure we get to everybody here and hear all these wonderful stories. Hi, Ella.
Hi, Ella,
Hi.
our fellow pianist.
Yes.
You were one of, because of your instrument, we didn't get to actually collaborate with you, but it was really fun as your sort of as your piano elders to watch the trajectory of your just your presentations and your engagement with not only your fellow from the top peers, but just everyone at the middle school. What would you say is the biggest thing that you discovered about yourself from this experience?
I discovered that I can make friends very quickly. And I think also NPR did a great job with that because on the first day that we all met, everyone was just a little quiet, very quiet. And then NPR gave us these engagement questions, which I think brought us together. And then the little meetings that we had. And I think also going to the middle school also had us engaged because we were preparing in front of middle school audience. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. And the show actually taped in your hometown, correct?
Yes, Fairfax.
So did you have friends or family who were able to attend the show?
Yes, so I had many friends and family who came to support me, which was really cool because after the concert, they all came out and surprised me, which was really nice with flowers and cards and everything. And I really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah. I think we got to meet a number of them. You have a very musical family.
Yes.
Are you all isolated together right now with your family?
Yes, we are.
So does that mean your household is still rocking the music scene?
My sister is in the basement practicing violin. And,
right now?
No, not right now. But at the same time, I'm practicing my piano, and then my brother is doing the guitar or piano.
Wow, that is so cool. I'm so jealous. Me
too.
It's so fun to have.
I know Liz and I are across the country from each other, so we have to make our music by ourselves. And your family just got a whole. Have you guys been performing chamber music for your parents?
Yes. So my sister.
What sort of pieces?
My sister and I are gonna perform tomorrow because my sister has an online performance with her teacher has a little group class, so we're gonna perform tomorrow.
Actually,
Great.
Olivia, I'm curious
Good luck.
because do you play piano as well?
I play just enough to teach myself my music, but
Okay.
my skills are not advanced.
But you actually, since your voice is your instrument, you could actually, create a full performance. Whereas a lot of our artists here, if you're not living with another musician, you're going to be deprived of that unless you use technology. So.
Yeah, my neighbors are having a lot of concerts right now from my living room.
Speaking of voices, why don't we bring Levi into this presentation here so we can hear from him as well.
Hi.
Levi.
Hey, Levi.
Here. Hi, Levi.
Libby was talking about your voice yet again. When you stood up and talked for the middle schoolers, that was another poignant moment. Everyone in the 300 that were watching just gasped, and all of the girls looked at each other and had a lot to say to each other.
So you may have a career in radio. Perhaps you should be working at NPR. So how have you been spending this time in quarantine? And were there any sort of points of inspiration from your From the Top experience that's affecting you during this period?
Right. So I've just been I go to work. I work at an apartment store, so we're still in business, obviously. So I do that, and then I run some DoorDash on the side, and then just keeping up with musical things. I still have lessons with my professor and so on and so forth. But it's really interesting to see how everyone's been dealing with staying at home. You would think that it would make you want to practice more, but really it doesn't. it's so hard for me to find time to practice, really. So, but yeah,
I agree. I feel like there's this weird pressure, that sometimes, now that we're not, traveling and touring, that we have to be creating the next great American novel or something. And I think,
exactly.
And then there's a lot of pressures and anxieties that come with the situation that, makes practicing or, being creative a challenge in some ways. So I totally feel you. Because you're in college right now, correct?
Yes.
And what year and which school?
I'm currently second year, so sophomore, right, at University of Arizona, and I'm studying business, but I still take some music classes there too. So
now, has this experience, this pandemic, has it affected your career goals? Because you do have these options, these parallel options, business and music. So are you sort of leaning more toward one direction now?
Well, I've given things a lot of thought. I mean, being in a pandemic, it gives you insight on different things. You see how things work, you see how people kind of act. And I hope we're not going to really have anything like this again in the next 10 years, 20 years. But as far as my career choices go, I always think of, I'd like to go primarily into business. And then once I'm done with that, or really when I've kind of gone through that, I can find an application for music. Or really maybe when I reach the peak in my business is when I can say, hey, you know what, I can put music in here somewhere, or I can find an application for music, so. Did
your experience with From the Top and just that whole week we shared together affect your kind of desires in life, your focus?
Definitely did. So beforehand, I had thought, I'm doing music. I'm kind of doing it as a thing on the side, but going to From the Top was really inspirational in that I got to meet some new people. And then I also got to meet one of my friends that I had played at an event with before many years ago. I didn't think I'd, meet up with him at that certain point, but that was really exciting. And just getting to see all the kids at the middle school and, express to them that music is a viable option in the current day that we live in. Most of them, that's not what they think. But then when you say, hey, what about a career in music? They're like, maybe I could do that, So
planted a seed.
Exactly. Well, I think all of these young artists are proof that this is a viable option and it's a really fulfilling one. So Thank you for inspiring all of those kids.
Yeah, thank you, Levi.
What amazing young musicians, huh?
Yeah,
Incredible.
absolutely.
We've been kind of hitting on off and on this whole virtual reality world that we find ourselves in. It's kind of thrown us all for a curve. And we at the Academy are struggling to try to migrate as much as we can to reach the community with online resources. And Liz and Gray, can you tell us a little bit about what your response is and how you're trying to navigate through these very challenging times?
Yeah, it's been somewhat of a surreal experience. Thankfully, Greg and I wear so many different hats in the creative realm. So in addition to touring, we write our own music and we create our own music videos. So this has been the perfect time to attend to that passion.
Yeah, with the touring, we can be on the road all the time, and it's hard to think about anything else. And so I've actually been somewhat creatively stimulated. I'm trying to only play the piano right now for myself, which I haven't done in years. And then for the business side, I'm editing music videos with Liz, and we're composing new music for future tours. But because of just the wildness of this experience, we tried to create a video that felt that honed in on what was going on in the world right now. And so we chose Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, a song that has a lot of conflict in it, but it's still an embrace of love and of humanity in the end. And so we created a video, and I think we're going to show you just a couple minutes of it. It's an 11-minute video with variations, and it goes actually quite dark before there's like this beautiful sunrise, where there's like almost a cleansing of oneself. But in the video we're going to show you now, I think it'll just be something at the beginning, and it'll give you a taste of the sorts of things we've been doing to fill our time.
Wonderful. Let's go to the video. Wow. Now, mine was a little bit chopped up, but did everybody get part of that at least?
Mm-hmm.
I think we did. Wonderful. You know what it did? It at least whetted my appetite because I now want to hear more.
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube and
okay,
Facebook.
Good.
And the composition is comprised of 8 variations. And so, as Greg mentioned earlier, there is this trajectory that kind of takes you to the nadir of darkness, and then it sort of the dawning of light occurs. And we're hoping that that happens in our society, that there's something symbolic about, even though there's complexity and suffering, that hopefully we can still find, some solace or some light in this whole experience. And what was ironic is we filmed the video way before we could even imagine something like this happening last fall. And so when it came time for us to edit, we realized how relevant it was to this current time.
It's
Wonderful.
so wild.
And we're seeing from the production team that the Facebook Live actually played the video very well. So if they
Good.
that's great. Yeah, and Megan, anything else that you want to add from the top's perspective of this time and how everybody's dealing with it there?
You know, it's been for everyone. I think we're all in that shared experience of the unknown is the scariest part of it. And we are taking inspiration from folks like Greg and Liz and from our young musicians and following our mission to get everyone's voices out there, especially young people. Giving them the platform is it's beyond a priority. It's what we're here to do. So it's caused us in the organization to constantly think on a dime. And every time, just coming up with the Blanket Fort show, I can't tell you, because I've lost count, how many times we had to redirect efforts and completely change the plan because it just in response to what was happening in the country. So for all that to say, this has been a wildly creative and connective time for our organization and to everyone that we reach out to. And I think that's a testament to music, how powerful it is. It's the language that can connect us all, speak to our hearts, and bring us, transcend us beyond any differences. So for us, it's been, a time to push through and be inspired. And we're just thankful to be connected to folks like you at GMU and to Greg and Liz. And, the young musicians we saw today are a huge testament to why we can do this.
Yeah, wonderfully put. And Greg and Liz, any last words of offering or advice or for these young musicians as well?
I hope that the young musicians can use this as an opportunity to find something within themselves that resonates, so they can, because we always encourage musicians to find their authentic selves, because that's what resonates with audiences. And I think challenges kind of force you to the heart of that a lot faster. And we're all so challenged right now. And there's not necessarily a rush, but there is. I think it's a great opportunity to grow. And I hope that they all do through all of this.
Yeah, and just to have faith in that which they innately possess, that their creativity, talent, optimism will carry them far, whether they pursue careers in music or in other fields. And that ultimately, times like these remind us of the importance of connection, human connectivity, and gratitude, and sort of the greatest inventions of humankind, of which music is certainly a part of that. So I am personally grateful that From the Top has included us in such a transformative and inspiring experience. And all of you at GMU do such great work too. So we are inspired by every single person on this live webcast.
Yeah, you said that so well, Liz.
And what you can't see, what the audience can't see, is that we have a chat kind of section going on at the same time that we're talking, and all of the students are just saying what a pleasure it was to work with all of you and how inspiring you've been for all of us, me included in this. So I think we're going to start to wrap up here, and I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Megan from NPR's From the Top. Greg and Liz, it's been a pleasure. What incredible musicians and people, and how profoundly you're touching all of us. And to our young musicians, wonderful job, and we look forward to hearing so much more from you in the future. So I also want to say thank you to Mason Arts at Home here at the Center for the Arts for providing this platform and allowing us to have this discussion. It's been a real pleasure. I do want to let you know that the edition of From the Top Live is going to be on WETA tomorrow, Sunday, April 26th at 6 o'clock. So listening audience, please tune in, and we'll look forward to hearing that complete performance. And from the Mason Community Arts Academy, from the Center for the Arts, and from George Mason University, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this great, great conversation. And I look forward to having more interactions with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Libby.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.